Hey everybody, welcome to What to Say Now, episode number 10. My name's Dan Stewart. I'm the founder of Happy Grasshopper. And with me today, I have two legitimate badasses. So get ready to meet Amy Smythe-Harris and Craig Grant. Say hi, everybody.
Hey.
They're so quiet. They're like, oh my God, he said we're badasses. Now we have to live up to it. It's true. You do. So let me give you guys a little bit of background about What to Say Now, right? The reason that we're having this show is that right now in the world, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. And we find that agents are sometimes finding themselves in an area or a time where, they don't know what to say. So as you guys know, I believe that the world gets better through conversation. Whatever our differences may be, whatever our challenges are, the way that we overcome them is together, right? And we do that within conversation. So the reason that I'm so excited you two have joined me today is because we have all kinds of different people selling real estate in the world today, right? Absolutely true that we do. And some of them are fond of saying things like, oh, I'm a tech person, or oh, tech, like, right? And the common word there is person. We're all people, right? Do relationships matter? Absolutely they do. And technology can be a great lever to help us deepen those relationships and find ways to help each other, right? So as a perfect example of that, let's get in our time machine and talk about when the three of us started to get to know each other. So Amy, I first met you on the speaking circuit, and I want to say that was 2012, maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably more on top of it than I am, because, you know, I'm old, I don't remember as much. But, yeah, but it was on the speaking circuit, and it was just we built that relationship all these years, you know, 8+ years later, and it was, I know you're big into relationships, and that's what part of this is, that it is about relationship. And I've been selling real estate as a broker owner for 25 years. So it's about relationships, and also when to sever relationships too, in the real estate world, at least, in the real estate transactions. So doing that one right now as we speak.
Sometimes the best clients we ever have are those that we don't accept. Right?
Got it.
We're not a good fit. Goodbye. I will not let you hire me.
Exactly.
That's good. And Craig, I remember the first time we met each other was at a Florida Association of Realtors conference. Yep. And man, you have just continued to impress, like month after month, year after year. And here we are, you two collaborating with RETI, the Real Estate Technology Institute. It's so cool. I don't know how you two met. Where did that happen?
We were on the speaking circuit too, right, Craig?
Yeah, it's kind of similar. And I mean, when I put together RTI, I reached out to some of the speakers who I respected and also got along with really well. And Amy is just, you know, the minute I met her, she was just so giving and nice and everything. I was like, I definitely want to be a part of RTI. So we've been working together for a few years now, doing that part. But yeah, we met on the speaking circuit and just, you know, kind of hit it off, had a couple drinks, and now we work together and stuff.
Okay. So
and how long have you been married now? I'm just really like, I know you're in Stuart, Florida, Greg, and you're in, is it the Woodlands? Is that where you are?
Yeah, the Woodlands.
Yeah, the Woodlands. Awesome. Cool. So,
well, did Dan make you, Craig, eat a grasshopper?
No. How did I miss that?
Are you kidding?
I've never made anyone eat a grasshopper.
They
choose.
I ate yours.
I remember that. I did well for me when they were chocolate covered, though, correct?
That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
Weird Craig fact, I hate chocolate. So
yeah, that's it.
I think I did not eat a grasshopper just for that reason, but you did offer me one. I do remember that.
I've heard it all. Religious objections, dietary concerns, chocolate allergies. I mean, yeah, it's absurd. And yet, if you taste one, it tastes exactly like the cross between a Kit Kat bar and a Whopper. So I'm pretty sure that both of those are made with insects, just so you know. Just so you know. But let's turn the conversation. Let's turn the conversation towards some things I know you both have perspective in, right? Because the three of us on this call, none of us are brand new to this industry. None of us have any doubt about the necessity of building and maintaining real relationships over time with people. It's why we're all together today. I'm curious what you've seen in response to COVID, just over the past few months, how you've seen the constituencies that you're connected to, the people you serve. What have you seen them do that's really innovative to maintain and build more relationships in a time of weirdness?
I mean, do you want to go or me, or I'll take it.
Take it, Craig, and then I'll go.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm seeing a lot of, and it's something that I've been trying to coach and preach since this shutdown started, and I've been preaching this for a long time before it as well, is that whole keeping in contact with your sphere, getting back in touch with them, but now not just being a salesperson, but reaching out and seeing how they're doing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Making it more that personal touch, because a lot of people are struggling right now, whether it's the health situation, whether it's being out of work or whatever. And not just be like, hey, are you ready to sell your house? But hey, I just want to check on you because I was thinking about you.
Yes. Yes.
That can pay dividends down the road more than anything, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think that's a smart thing to do in any environment, and particularly during a time of uncertainty, right? Whenever people are going, oh my gosh, what's going on in the world? The more certainty you can provide them, the more you just show up as a consistent person who actually cares, instead of as someone who just wants to sell them something, the better job you'll do at really winning.
Yeah, and
I agree. Go ahead, Craig. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say, to me, it's not just that giving them certainty. It's if they want that shoulder to cry on, or that person to vent at of what's going on, just being there for them, to me, is.
Yeah, I think that's well said. What were you going to add, Amy?
One of the things that I changed a lot of my marketing in the past couple of years, and after Harvey hit Houston, I did easytexting.com to reach out to my sphere of influence. To, hey, are you guys okay? Because I knew that most of my client base would respond better to a text. Are you okay? Do you need anything? Are animals okay? Because that's kind of my big thing, is on animals. And so I've still kind of continued that, but this starting in 2019, I changed my marketing even more and went back a little old school, combining technology with handwritten notes. And then when COVID hit, I've done a lot of Popeye. I hate the word Popeyes because it sounds like I'm talking about Popeyes, the chicken restaurant, but drop-ins of little things. Like I did one, we had the peach truck arrive here, and I did, you've been a peach to work with, and did a little, and so just leaving little things, because now people are used to having things on their doorstep. So building those relationships that I've lost contact. So that's kind of been my main focus, especially now that I can maneuver and get out again. I've kind of gone a little old school, and leveraging it with a follow-up call or a text. Most people still are not taking phone calls, just in general, but just a text or follow up. Hey, I just want to make sure you got that on your front door. Just was thinking about you.
Yeah, I love that. Just was thinking about you. I was just out your way and was thinking about you. It's been a while. Thought I'd touch base, see if I can help with anything. And also Amy, do you have a few minutes? I could really use your hand with something, right? Your past clients in Sphere are going to engage with that message all the time. And, I know it's been a minute since we've really talked about some of the things we've been up to, but give you just a little insight into Happy Grasshopper. We've added text messaging, voicemail drops, and handwritten cards to our service. So, from my perspective, I think we need a multi-channel approach with how we're communicating with people who know us. And the best communications don't feel like marketing. They feel like a human being reaching out. So
awesome. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah. Well, I'll be happy to show you.
And I told you this when you and I first met, like what always endeared me to your product is the fact that it was always the personal touch. It wasn't the typical canned response spam garbage that most people use for, the drip email marketing. Yeah. I've been for years is dead, and it's all about personal touch.
Well, I think marketing has a place, right? I mean, every person in business, every entrepreneur, every real estate agent needs marketing at some point in the mix. But once we have a relationship, marketing feels weird. why would you market to me? We're bros. I played pool in your house, Amy. Come on. Why are you sending me marketing stuff? Like,
I served you alcohol in my house.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
hey, come over when the pool's done and then you can have more fun.
there you go. And, think about it with a real estate transaction, because they're always smooth and easy. They always go exactly as planned. There's never anything that feels like peaks and valleys and roller coasters. I mean, I feel like I've been to war with every real estate agent I've ever worked with for the purchase or sale of my own homes. Like, we've been through something together. And I hate getting that crappy magazine that tells me how awesome they are. It's like, come on. No, we're friends now. Our relationship is closer than that. We need something else. So I'll get off my soapbox there, right? But clearly I have some strong feelings about that.
Hey, let's do another panel on that one, because I do too.
Awesome. So let's shift a little bit to how you're providing value for people at Real Estate Technology Institute. Because one of the questions I get quite a lot from people is, what's working now? Right. Like, and I'll give you a little bit of perspective here. It's 2020. Everything can send messaging. I don't care what the CRM thing you buy is. I don't care whether you have a Samsung refrigerator that can text you. I mean, it's stupid how easy it is to send a message. It's the quality of the message that really makes the biggest difference today. So what are you seeing out there? Are you seeing anybody have success with any particular habits or trends or techniques that you'd like to share with our folks?
Yeah, I mean, I can say what I've been seeing across the country, because I try to keep a pulse on who's succeeding, who's struggling, all that kind of stuff. What I'm seeing that's really working right now is the realtors that kind of, and I hate to say the word, ran and hid when this started. They're struggling. I mean, they're cutting back their budgets. They're just tightening everything up. The ones that kind of embraced it and went in with the virtual showings, and they, even if they weren't tech savvy before, they realized they had to kind of adapt or die. I'm seeing huge numbers in virtual showings online. I mean, I'm seeing realtors posting without having to spend advertising money, 1,000+ views on a single virtual showing on Facebook.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of that actually out of your market, Amy. I mean, HIR is a fantastic resource, and there are a bunch of agents there who've really grabbed onto the virtual.
Okay, so but what's so funny, Dan, about this whole thing is everyone's like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to, I have to work virtually. I'm like, I've been doing this for 10 freaking years. Yeah. Like, I have been paperless and virtual for 10 years, and I've been selling houses way before Zoom, Google Hangout, and all this virtually. And so to me, this is old school. It wasn't anything for me to have to embrace. This was I've been doing it for so long. So, but I think I go along with what Craig said. I think it was the people that were like, oh, I don't have to do this, I can still do it. They had to embrace it, and they did. And so I think the hardest part, in my market area for the realtors, not the consumer, because I think the consumer was way ahead of realtors with technology, believe it or not. I know you're not going to like that, but is them having to attend classes virtually. Mm-hmm. And so that was very, very difficult for a lot of people to adjust their learning style. Craig, for you, would you agree with that?
Yeah. It is what it is. I mean, if you ask any speaker in the industry or instructor, we would way rather be in the classroom with them because you miss out through the computer. But sure. So some are loving it, and some are definitely you can see them kind of, trying to keep focus as you go.
But I think one of the things, sorry, Craig, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but one of the things goes, what Dan, you asked is, I think what other agents, and I've said this, I shouldn't say this, I learned it years ago when I got into the business, is never to talk politics or religion with your clients.
Yes, and sex is fine though. Talk about that all day, right?
There you go, right? But I still hold true to that value today on social media. I really try never to kind of cross that bridge. because to me, that is something that is a quick way to alienate
Sure.
Potential clients or potential referrals from other realtors. So you got to think about it that way as well.
It's true. We always see this every election cycle, right? Every election cycle, you see the constant post of, I had to unfriend 34 people today because I disagree with their politics. It's like, you know.
But 2020 is a whole other level. I mean, because it's not just the political cycle. You've got COVID and, you know, people being mad about wearing masks or not wearing masks. You got the entire racial justice situation going on. I mean, there's so many things right now. Like the internet is just a boiling pot of just anger. And it's tough. It is really tough.
This is the genesis of what to say now, really.
Yeah.
Because as COVID was setting in, we had a massive outreach of people coming to us and saying, how do I handle this? How do I talk about this? What do I say to people who, you know, were looking for a home a month ago? How do I, you know, how do I, it just happened over and over. And we're like, you know what, we're going to answer these questions. So for those of you, you might be watching this on YouTube, you might be seeing it somewhere other than the channel it's broadcast in. Please go to facebook.com/groups/what-to-say-now. Myself and my team of copywriters will answer any communication questions you have there. If you need help with anything at all, we're there to serve. So
Dan, that's awesome. Can I just add one thing, because you know I get a little ADD is you say what to say now is, and Craig brought up all the anger boiling pot that's going on social media. And I go back to just focus on maybe your social object, whether it's you rescuing your animals or you have a shoe fetish or whatever it may be. Or I have seen agents transform that were never really on social media that are now cooking experts and doing setting up their YouTube channels and doing cooking things, which I never knew they liked to cook. And now they're parlaying that into a way to communicate and show. So I'm still kind of a believer of kind of maybe concentrate on your social object is in this time, even forward. Craig, Dan, what do you think?
I think that's spot on advice. And, you know, I'll say that if we look at like the cycle it takes to convert a lead, agents who are generating leads online today, it's typically 12 to 18 months in advance. The leads generate 12 to 18 months in advance of when the people want to do real estate.
Yep,
so,
you got it.
You know, you've got to first engage them. Then you've got to position yourself so they understand a few things about you and why they might choose to work with you. And that segment is essentially teaching them what your past clients in Sphere already love about you, right? And then you're nurturing, all that long-term nurturing, that should be your social object. Like I have 3 guitars behind me here.
I just noticed
right?
that.
You know,
how did I not know that about you?
Like I have 1 million books on my bookshelves. There are always things that we're interested in as human beings. And the more we share those and expose those to other people, the more opportunities for conversation we create.
And we attract like clients.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, what you want to work with.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with both of you. I mean, I coach at all times, try to stay out of politics, try to stay out of anything polarizing online.
Yeah.
Because you are turning away current customers, potential customers, referrals, everything.
Right.
Somebody doesn't have that same belief system. But sometimes it's hard. It really is.
It absolutely is. I'll share a quick story with you. So we have an 11-year-old daughter who is a seriously competitive gymnast. And that means that one of us parents is sitting in the gym with her for hours and hours and hours a day. And, you know, sometimes there'll be another parent who is like, oh, can you believe what this person said? And it's some political thing. And you're like, oh, here we go. This person's assuming something about our politics and they want to go down this trail. And I don't want to ride that train, right? So here's the pattern. When I feel because, right? So whatever that situation is, if you can just remember to reframe it for them when I feel because pattern, you can steer it a completely different direction. You know, when
Perfect.
you bring your kid to gymnastics and you sit here for a few hours, I feel like there are so many things that are more interesting we could talk about than real estate or than politics. Don't you? Like, you know,
I'll give you
sure.
Yeah.
an example, though. Sometimes it's 100% unavoidable.
Hmm.
So when the school shooting happened in Stoneman Douglas, right?
Yes. Ugh.
I grew up 5 minutes from there. So I didn't go to that high school. I went to the one next to it. And so I knew a lot of people who went there back in that day, but also I now have several friends who their kids now go to that school, right? And when that shooting happened, my post on Facebook, literally they said, I'm in no way wanting a political discussion, but something has to change, right? It can't be this easy to get a gun. And by the way, I completely support the Second Amendment. I own guns. I'm not against it in any way. But I said I do not want this to be a political discussion.
Yeah.
Within 10 minutes, I had over 50 negative Amendment 2 comments. Like it was like, guys, I'm not saying I'm not defending the Second Amendment, but you shouldn't be able to get a gun that easy.
Right.
And that's all it was. But sometimes it is unavoidable, even if you preface it of, I don't want a political discussion.
Yeah. So this is the dividing line. This is the dividing line. I'm really glad you bring up this issue, because there are issues that you sincerely believe in. We all have them, right? And there's a time and a place that's appropriate to share them, right?
Yep.
That's all that it is. So I would just say direct that energy to a place where it's likely to do the most good. And you know, for better or worse, most people look at their social feed, it just flies by, and, you know, sometimes there's something that pulls them in. Most of us consume a lot more than we create or than we comment. So I would just say, if people are consuming our stuff, let's make sure we're showing them the best sides of ourselves, and we're wanting to pull them into a conversation that's not inflammatory.
Okay, so can I just tag on this? Is I did a post yesterday, and it was just more of what I call Amy aha moments of like, oh, wow, ostrich just got her head out of the sand. I've been, you know.
Yeah, you're one about wearing the mask. Right?
Yeah. And it wasn't really about wearing the mask. It was more like, wow, is this surreal? Like, is this like
a hit you moment. Right.
Yeah. And it was like, oh my gosh. And I don't know why it hit me all of a sudden like that, but it did. Well, then it became, and I said, this is not any political post. I just want to see how y'all are doing out there. Craig, and Dan, I got so many private messages negative about that. And it was not me saying I'm being negative or positive. It was just more like, it was like a light bulb went on kind of moment for me. And it was just more like, hey, are y'all okay out there? And that's all it was. And it was taken as a lot of negativity. So when we post things, we have to also remember how the end user is reading them and what mindset they're in when they're reading them, whether it's an email or social media or a text message, because sometimes they don't understand the subtleties through voice that we would have. So we have to be careful of that.
Yeah, and by the way, I read your post yesterday. You didn't have a single word of politicalization in there. That's not the point. Is people turned it into it regardless.
Yeah.
Right. So there, you know, you guys are reminding me of something called car crash marketing. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you're in traffic, right? And all of a sudden everybody slows down. And why? It's because there's a car accident on the side of the road. Right. So sometimes people intentionally create lots of controversy just to attract attention to themselves, right? So we're seeing a little bit of that happen in this environment where people can easily start an online fire with a controversial post or two. And they know that some segment of their audience is really going to love it and some segment is really going to hate it. But there is a lot to be said for polarization. You know, every brand is not for every person. And yet, speaking specifically about real estate, this is a people business. We are people serving people, right? Brands are brands.
Right.
So yeah, I want to make room to help anyone, regardless of what their political opinions are, right? And I would not want to be excluded because of mine.
Right. And if I could add to that a little bit, because I agree 100%, but what I'm seeing more and more is not just the polarization, but I'm seeing a lot more people drawing a line in the sand. You know what I mean? Like, if this person doesn't have my beliefs, I'm unfriending them and don't want to work with them ever again.
Yeah.
And that's where it really comes back in a people business like real estate, where you can't do that. You want that pot of business to be as big as possible. You don't want to let yourself down.
What do you do when you fire up your Zoom to do your video listing presentation, right? Because why go to the house today? It's 2020 after all.
Right.
You know, and your potential client for whose home you're going to sell wants to have this big political discussion with you. Like, there may be a litmus test where they want to make sure you're on their side of the fence before they decide to work with you, right? I mean, how awkward can that be? So this is kind of the nice circle back to your point earlier, Amy, right?
Yeah, I've been in those situations. And it goes back to also the same question that we get is, what neighborhood would you like to live in, Amy? And it goes back to fair housing issues, but on that political is, I always just kind of avoid and steer it away, but you're darn tootin' correct that a lot of times it is a litmus test, and they may not pick you because you didn't pass that test. And is that okay with you as an agent? I think it's something that you have to decide in your own business practice. I can't say that. I just know what I choose to do. And I have what I called SOP, standard operating procedures, for any of those questions.
Well, so how would you answer that? Now, before I hire you, Amy, I want to make sure that I'm giving this commission, because you're not earning it,
right,
to someone who shares my political opinion, right? Right. So tell me, are you a Republican or a Democrat? Like, I mean, how do you handle that? What's your response?
Okay, so one of my standard responses is I always look at each candidate and look at their values and what they're going to bring into the office, and then I make a decision based on that. Okay. And I don't say one way or the other. But I think that is actually, it's not a false statement. It's really true. My husband and I analyze each candidate, and we go from there and see what's going to happen. But you know what? And then I also always end it with the crystal ball. That is my pat answer, and I love it because it fills in so many gaps for a realtor. Is if they go, do you think I'm going to gain value in 2 years? I don't know. If I had a crystal ball, I wouldn't be in this business. Do you think there's going to be a lot of movement with businesses moving here? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. I cannot tell you how many times I pulled that out of my hat, and I jokingly say it, but it is the best thing, because then they start laughing, and it lessens the moment of any kind of tenseness between them.
Yeah, you're reminding me of a really good principle to share with people. It's called the confident no, right? So a lot of times during a sales presentation, a salesperson will get asked a question they don't know the answer to, right? So rather than say, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Yeah, I know I think don't sound wishy-washy and be wrong. Just confidently say, I don't know. I'm going to look into that. Thank you for bringing it up. Like, that establishes trust, right? Because everyone else is just lying to them. So even when you don't know the answer, it's okay to just say you don't know. I think
I'm so funny that you say that, because I've said that for years, and I used to train agents to say that exact same thing.
Right.
So
boom.
And by the way, I'm happy Amy actually brought up a topic that most people would never think of when it comes to a question like this, which is fair housing, right? A person that's asking you for your political lines or how you'd handle certain situations is probably going to lead you down a fair housing landmine. So that might be the customer that you might want to walk away from.
Right. Well, if your role is to serve them as a fiduciary, you say, hey, my politics have to stay outside because my only interest here is to serve you as your fiduciary.
Take care of you. Yep.
Right. Yep. That's it.
So
I like that.
There was actually a story posted in one of the instructor groups on Facebook about 2 weeks ago. And it was a property owner who was trying to make any prospective buyer fill out a survey that included their political beliefs and all kinds of stuff to be able to come look at their home. And the instructor was like, what do I do here? I mean, wow. It was blatant fair housing, what they were doing, but I mean, so it was a pretty easy answer that they got in the group. But that kind of stuff is happening. I mean, it's just a reality.
Yeah, I mean.
And hopefully we're not the ones as agents saying that online and posting that. Like it goes back to the whole topic of this is what to say, what not to say. That is definitely not something that we should be, saying. Craig's example was in a private group. So it's a different asking, but please be cautious. And I'll do one tip. Please do not talk smack about other agents on social media. And this has been going on for years.
Yeah.
Forget 2020. This has been going on for years. Stop it. And this is my soapbox, but y'all are hurting our industry by talking trash, and I call it smack, but about other people in the industry. Work it out between yourselves. Don't put it online, okay? I know you've got a vent, but here's my Amy tip. Type it in Facebook if that's what your social media. Wait 10 seconds, wait a minute. I now do a minute because I have to calm down a little bit. And then normally by then, at least I'm like, delete. Okay. So think before you vent. That's my Amy tip. Think before you vent.
Yeah. Cause well, first of all, it's not only unprofessional, it's a violation of Article 15.
Yep. Exactly.
So, and I know you guys see them. I see them every day, especially on social media. It's ridiculous. And if I know that realtor well enough and have a good relationship, sometimes I'll private message and be like, hey, you might want to remove that.
Yeah, I do too.
But it's a blatant thing that happens in the industry all the time. It really is.
Yeah, it's funny how quickly emotions can override intellect, right? I mean, we're all humans, and that's why we should really try to be sensitive to what people's needs are at unique times, like we're all experiencing. And it's why we should make sure that we regularly schedule time to get together and have meaningful conversations. So that said, I want to thank you both for joining me today. It's been so good to see you. Like, I'm going to Zoom both of you immediately after this.
I know.
We got some catching up to do. Yeah, we got some catching up to do.
Well, can I just add on?
Sure.
What a lot of people don't know is that most of us have all met online first before we ever met in real life. So we have this whole social media network that when we get to meet each other, in person, it was great. And now we're all missing that hugs out there. So virtually hugging you guys, miss y'all.
And I can't tell you how anxious I am to get back on an airplane and go speak to a live audience. Like, wow.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Didn't you do it the other day for the first time?
Well, I did. I got to go see my buddy John Mangus and Kathy Kuyoth at Remax Preferred in Toledo, Ohio. That was awesome.
I thought that's where you went. Yeah.
Yeah, it was super great. And I'll have to say, I had a flight in early May, and flying today felt 100% safer than flying in early May did. Like, I feel like the airlines and people in general have it figured out. Everyone was masked, lots of hand sanitizer. I didn't see any chin strap face masks. Like, that's a common thing. So it's getting better, and hopefully that means we'll all be able to, rub elbows here before too much longer, because we don't shake or hug anymore. We'll just
no. I want my hug. Y'all deserve an Amy hug.
All right,
guys. Thanks, Dan, for
thank you.
us.
Yeah, thank you to both of you again for being our guests today. And for whomever is watching this, be sure to give it a like, smash share, do that, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook. And do not forget to tune in every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have great guests lined up for the rest of the year. And join that group at facebook.com/groups/whattosaynow so that you can get your communications questions answered. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you being here today.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.